just, you're just not.
No, that makes total
Yeah.
sense.
Well, with the exception of this last part where seems to be some debate with the responsible unit, I don't think that some of Rebecca's changes are out of line.
The only concern I have is we copied some of our other ordinances and now we're changing the definition of this one so it won't match our other ordinance definitions. You know, if we just take this ordinance and change the definition that she
that's a
suggested,
good
and we
question
pulled
to
it
ask
from,
her.
that would be my only concern.
But we're also adding, we've also, without Rebecca's recommendations, we're also adding and removing things, so they're gonna have to be changed anyway.
But we brought stuff from our other definitions.
So maybe that's a good
over.
question to ask of her.
Because if we have the same, whatever the definition may be, in two different ordinances, and they're different definitions in different ordinances, how does that affect?
Because the wording is gonna be another thing too, because I noticed throughout it, we referenced the permissible containers. And then in section 839, it has like 3 different words. It says carts, it says receptacles, just consistency, I guess it's not.
Hang on, 839.
And it says refuser recycling carts.
Because we use the verbiage from the current contract, because they're now, it's a carted process. So we remove, garbage can, dumpster, and other trash receptacles.
I was just making the point that everywhere else it just says containers, and that's the only place I've noticed carts. I just didn't want to add confusion to anybody reading, saying, oh, I don't have a cart or a container.
I guess that both those terms, permissible container and cart, are used in the industry standards.
Okay.
Permissible container is kind of how whoever hauler we would have, but as industry standard, the haulers refer to them as carts.
Okay.
So I can see those two. I mean, now there's a bunch of different definitions, but in like the contracts, I think it's carted service. But when you read their rules, the permissible container, they use both of them, I believe at the county as well.
I think there's some work that needs to be done here for the second reading.
Well, what do we need? I mean, that's what work needs to be done so we can have it done, because this is, again, the process that's taken a while, so, and they're ready to stop picking up garbage at commercial businesses yesterday. So there's going to be, and we have to get letters out to those folks, and there's a lot of stuff that has to happen. So what work is it that needs to be done? Obviously, I will check with Charlie. I will verify the wording on that. I'm not sure that whole section is necessary, but I will ask them and find that out.
Jason, looking back at the email that when we had our policy procedure meeting,
Yep.
when we redlined 8.3 and made it 8.3.13, we made 8.3.13 now 8.3.10.
Yep.
You are exactly correct. There was no red in there, or it just said the purpose was A, and then it said or insert sample RV recycling ordinance. So yeah, I agree with you. I don't remember reading. I don't know where we pulled that red line Brooke in from. That's in the reading as it is right now.
I know Brooke and I had talked about adding wording.
Okay.
For just, we needed to make sure we mentioned that the county was the responsible unit. That's, if not, if the county wasn't a responsible unit, we would have to have our own recycling ordinance, which was all those other 17 pages behind it.
Right.
But because we're adding the county as a responsible unit, and that's kind of how municipalities work. A lot of them do that, smaller ones. So Brooke and I had talked about having that wording exactly, all of it. That's, I just don't remember, and I'd have to have all my notes here on this, but,
When he said the responsible unit, I thought, well, should there be something wording in the contract? And so I looked in the contract, and this was the particular paragraph, so we cut that out and
I
put
see,
that in.
okay.
yes, and we'll talk about that. I'm just curious if that section needs to be in accordance with the rules and regulations of the state of Wisconsin and the Adams County has mandated. We don't need to make that statement. We're just stating that the county is a responsible unit. What the county states after that is the county statement. Basically, what we put in there is a county statement and not a city statement. At least that's how I read it.
So you're saying from in accordance with these rules to disposal at the county landfill, we could eliminate that?
That's how I read it, yes, that we could get rid of that, because to me, that's a county statement and not a city statement. We need to let the residents know that the Adams County is the responsible unit when it comes to governing our recycling. And any other hauler that would come in here would have to work under those guidelines.
I think that's a good pruning of that section.
And then I'll ask Rebecca the question.
And I'm still gonna ask Charlie the question about that mandate, if it hits that, because I'm curious.
Okay, so, we're good with everything?
So those changes will be made and brought to the next council meeting, is that, okay?
Okay.
That's
The
process.
word that, in the definitions, the thing that I was questioning was scavenging. I didn't see, when you heard me read that thing, I never used that word. It was in the definitions, but I never read it.
Right.
Right, because you had the condensed version without the.
Correct. So, I'm just saying, okay. All right. Number 6, discussion of possible action on payment of bills. Need a motion? Or a
I'll make
discussion?
a motion to pay the bills.
I'll second it. Any discussion, concerns? Okay, Brooke, take a vote.
Alderperson Heitman,
Yes.
Grooms,
Yes.
Cantu,
No.
Scott,
Yes.
Murphy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, now I need a motion to adjourn from open session and immediately reconvene into closed session for the deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specific public businesses wherever competitive or bargaining reasoning require a closed session, SS 19.851E land sales transaction.
I'll make the motion to adjourn from open session and reconvene in closed session.
Second.
Brooke, take a vote.
Alderperson Grooms,
Yes.
Cantu,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Heitman.
Yes.
Doing great.
And I just did that
Are you
about
going?
10 minutes ago.
Are you okay?
Yeah. It's on this agenda, it said no coffee, no coffee.
No kidding. Try to eat a banana before I can.
I think you just close it.
Are you sure?